Hey friends, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, Ephesians. Today we're starting a brand new lesson, which is lesson number 13, which has the title Waging Peace, and today is Sabbath's introduction, where we're just going to introduce what we're going to be talking about this week. Now, the first thing that I want you to really keep in mind is that this week's lesson is dependent on last week's lesson. These are two lessons that walk hand in hand because they're talking about the same topic and they're talking about the same portion of verses. If you didn't study last week's lesson, please go back, read some of the lessons, look at some of the videos, and I'm sure that that will help you understand what we're going to be talking about this week. Now, our memory verse comes from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16 and 17 that says, "In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." In the early 90s, Princess Diana of England went around the world speaking to several heads of state, political leaders, and presidents. She even went to the UN, making a request, a plea, to stop using landmines in warfare. And the reason is because landmines can easily be forgotten by either side, and years later sometimes, someone unsuspectingly goes, walks and steps on it, and then is blown up and is either killed or mutilated. And so she was making this request that countries and nations stop using landmines in warfare. Friends, the truth is that planet Earth has become a battlefield full of mines everywhere. It seems as though we can't do anything, think anything, say anything, go anywhere without stepping on a landmine and hurting ourselves. We also know that our enemy is like a lion, prowling around looking for someone to devour. Like I said last week, he is highly motivated, he doesn't take time off, doesn't take vacation, is extremely organized, and uses strategies that we can never think of. He's had thousands of years of experience. It seems as though all of us are in one way or another brainwashed. We've watched so many movies, seen so many TV shows, so many propagandas and ads and slogans that tell us so many things that are contrary to what we know to be right and true in the Bible, that these things reveal themselves in moments where we don't even pay attention, where we don't even notice it. How do you convince someone to live a life of peace, of kindness, of calmness, when it seems as though everywhere we look, the computer games are games of violence and bloodshed and murder and assassination, the movies have revenge and aggression. It seems as though everywhere we see people hating each other, killing each other, hurting each other. Or how about convincing someone or encouraging someone to live a life of purity, a life of self-control, where all around us, all that we see is that the good and pleasurable kind of sexuality is precisely what lies outside of the parameters that God has established? What about convincing or encouraging someone to live a life of simplicity or modesty when all that we see, again, on all the media channels and platforms, everywhere that you look, the predominant philosophy, the predominant ideology is consumerism and greed, and the ideology that you need to buy to be. People become what they buy. They become what they purchase. Their identity and sense of self-worth is tethered to the things that they have. So you see that the life of the Christian soldier, the life of the Christian warrior, it's not an easy one. It's one that has to be waged on so many levels of life. And the question is, what can we do? How do we even do this? Well, first of all, we have to understand the enemy. The Bible tells us in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood." And here you have to understand that flesh and blood represent human things, the things that we see around us. It goes on to say, "But against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces in heavenly places." So you see here that our true enemy, it's not a boss at work, a teacher at school, it's not the driver in front of us in the highway, it's not the IRS or the immigration, it's not even our relatives or family members. Our true enemy is somewhere else. Our true enemy is in a different sphere of existence. And so again, the question is, well, how do we fight that enemy? An enemy that we can't see, that we can't smell, that we can't touch, that we can't feel or hear. How do we fight that kind of invisible enemy? Well, fortunately, the Bible tells us that in order to fight against this supernatural enemy, we count on supernatural items that God has given us in order to fight. You see, for supernatural warfare, we are given supernatural help. That is what we're going to be talking about this week as we go through the different items of the armor that God has given us in order to battle. May God bless you, study your lesson, Don't forget to look up the questions, Bible verses. I'm sure that will be a blessing to you. Also, please remember, comment down below if you have a question or a comment. I'd love to interact with you. Also, we count on your help to be able to get the word out. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.